JBN, we keep you informed. Coming up in the news today, farmer shot dead in Kellett's. Anova has the fattest men in Jamaica. Man gets life in prison for execution-style killing. Recently released SOE detainees linked to upsurge in violence in St. James. Education Ministry investigate report of child being beaten with electrical pipe. And Cannabis Licensing Authority issues conditional approvals. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items. Farmer shot dead in Kellett's. A farmer was shot dead Friday night by armed men at a bar in Kellett's, Clarendon. Dead is 40-year-old Dave Green of Good Hope District in the parish. Reports from the Cropsey police are that Green was a patron at a bar about 10:20 p.m. when he was pounced upon by armed men traveling in a car who opened fire, hitting him several times. The police were alerted and he was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. No motive has been established for the killing. Anova has the fattest men in Jamaica. Dr. Alfred Dawes, senior medical officer at the Savamar Hospital in Westmoreland, says the parish of Anova is having a growing obesity problem, especially among the male population. Speaking on Thursday night, Anova leg of the Ministry of Health Take Responsibility road tour at the Walter Hall Anglican Parish Church in Lucy, the medical doctor urged the audience to take the chronic disease more seriously. Somebody told me that some men here in Lucy were saying that they do not want to hear anything about obesity. They want to hear about dengue. But I put it to you that the men of Anova should be the most interested in obesity because Anova has the fattest men in Jamaica, said Dawes. While not providing data to support his claim, Dawes pointed out that the parish of Westmoreland sits at the direct opposite of the scale, with Anova with regard to the body size of its male population. So what you're doing just a couple miles across the border, why Westmoreland men have a 2% obesity rate and Anova men have 18 or 19% obesity rate, asked Dawes. Obesity means that you have excess weight, and if you're shorter, you are allowed to have a certain weight. But if you get beyond a certain point, beyond a BMI, which is a body mass index of 25, then you are considered overweight. Greater than 30, you're obese. Greater than 40, severely obese, said Dawes. He explained that the needs of the body in terms of caloric intake depend on body size and sex, while encouraging persons to engage in physical exercise to burn excess calories or the body will convert it to fat. Dawes further noted that while obesity cannot be cured, it can be put into remission with healthy eating habits, exercise, and good sustainable lifestyle habits. Man gets life in prison for execution-style killing. The man who pleaded guilty to the brazen daylight execution-style killing of another man in a house along Bay Farm Road in St. Andrew almost 7 years ago will have to serve at least 15 years in prison. Otis Constable has been sentenced to life in prison and ordered to serve 15 years before he becomes eligible for parole. The sentence was handed down by High Court Judge Georgina Fraser in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston recently. Constable entered his plea of guilty moments before prosecutors were set to begin jury selection for his murder trial in the Home Circuit Court last month. According to the evidence, Constable and another man drove up to the premises located on Bay Farm Road shortly after 3 p.m. on February 1, 2012. Constable was carrying a shotgun. The other man entered the premises and shot Desmond Butler in the head and shoulder before escaping. 4 months later, he was apprehended by the police and reportedly gave a caution statement to investigators in which he confessed to the killing. Recently released SOA detainees linked to upsurge in violence in St. James. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chan has confirmed that persons who were released from detention under the state of emergency in St. James are behind the recent flare-up of violence in sections of the parish. 3 persons have been killed in St. James in the past 48 hours. The latest incident took place Friday afternoon in Paradise Norwood when 2 unidentified men were killed. Those who have been released from detention are now active again, even with the heavy presence of police and soldiers on the ground. In fact, the most recent murder and shooting took place within 200 yards of a checkpoint and line of sight. the Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chan, said. Meanwhile, the National Security Minister again responded to criticism regarding the detention of persons under the St. James State of Emergency, which expired on January 31. Mischievous and irresponsible individuals who are charging the police with sweeping young men off the streets without information was totally wrong, as we indicated before. All detentions were based on intelligence. It takes time to accumulate evidence. The detentions were necessary to ensure control of the space until we can build the evidence to lock away those who should be locked away and to allow hardworking citizens to stay alive and continue to work in peace, the National Security Minister said. Education Ministry investigating report of child being beaten with electric pipe. The Ministry of Education is investigating an allegation against the principal of Claude McKay High School in Clarendon, James Smith, that he beat a 13-year-old student with an electric pipe earlier this month, causing scars and swelling on his legs. The boy's mother, Shanika Ferron, said a report was made with the Frankfield police were investigating. Mr. Smith was contacted on Friday about the allegation. The matter is now being investigated at the level of the Ministry of Education, so I'm not in a position to speak on this issue any further, the principal said. According to Ferron, her son arrived home crying on February 13, complaining of being in pain. He said that the principal beat him with an electric pipe. I took him to the Chapelton Hospital where he was treated. I'm not saying that the child shouldn't be hit, but this is abuse. If I beat my child like this, then the principal would have made a call because it would be seen as abuse, the mother said. JBN understands that Miss Ferron's son was among 8 boys accosted by the principal for playing on the school compound during class time. The students were allegedly beaten with the pipe after they were twice caught loitering. Cannabis Licensing Authority issues conditional approval. The Cannabis Licensing Authority, CLA, has issued 202 conditional approvals from a total of 563 applicants since its establishment in 2015. The approvals fall under the 5 license categories that the authority regulates: cultivation, research and development, transportation, and retail and processing of medical cannabis. Of the total, 37 applicants have put the necessary measures in place to be granted a license, with 29 already issued. The other 165 applicants remain at the same stage of the process. Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO, Manager for Logistics and Infrastructure, Don Gittins, explained that the conditional approval means that the person has submitted their application and has supplied all the supporting documentation needed for the application to move forward. They have gone through all of the verification, including due diligence being done on the construct of the company and its directors and shareholders, to ensure they are fit and proper to hold a medical cannabis license, he noted. JAMPRO has responsibility for investment and promotion of the medical cannabis industry. Applicants are obligated to satisfy certain requirements prescribed in the interim regulations before the license is granted. Conditional approval typically lasts for 6 months. Jamaican High Commissioner urges UK to halt deportations. Jamaican High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Seth George Ramacon, has called for a suspension of deportations to the island until the investigation into the Windrush scandal is published by the Home Office and other issues surrounding immigration are resolved. Ramacon on Friday held a meeting at the Jamaican High Commission in London with relatives of people who were deported to Jamaica earlier this month. According to the Guardian newspaper, the High Commissioner said he was particularly concerned about the deportation of people who have lived in the UK since they were children, and also the removal of parents who had young children living in Britain. Listening to stories he described as heartrending from families of those deported, the High Commissioner said he was concerned about the dignity and the human rights of the individuals earmarked for deportation. If these are people who have lived here since they were children, they have no connection, no relatives, no one to take care of them in Jamaica, then this for me is a human rights matter, Ramacon was quoted as saying. It is not just the people who are being deported, it is their children, it is their families. Are we acting intelligently, or are we creating another set of problems when we do that? The Guardian reported that the High Commission had called a meeting of about 45 relatives of those deported and also those who were still detained in immigration removal centers, having escaped deportation, to hear their accounts of how people had been put on a charter flight earlier this month. The High Commissioner was hoping to understand the details of how the Jamaican nationals had been treated as part of an investigation to inform a discussion with the Jamaican government about how they cooperated with the Home Office on future deportations, the UK newspaper said. Initially, there was a list of 50 persons scheduled to be on the February flight, which the Home Secretary said included murderers and rapists. In the days and hours before the flight, about 20 people were given a last-minute reprieve, and only 28 men and 1 woman were deported. Half of that number had drug convictions, while 1 had committed a dangerous driving offense. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.